wanted 10% of the South, 10% of those who had voted in the election of 1850 to swear allegiance. But then you've got to look at who voted in 1850. Women didn't vote. Certainly black people didn't vote. And those who didn't own land didn't vote. So only a small percentage of those actually voted. Of that, he only wanted 10% to swear allegiance. And he would declare states reunited.
Now, is this what they meant by Lincoln having what might be considered a very, very mild and very sympathetic policy toward the South?
And really, it was towards the South, but really it was his support of the Union. He wanted that Union back and functioning. This is what he'd argued the war was fought about. And many people miss the fact that the war wasn't fought as much about slavery as it was about maintaining the Union.
Go on.
Maintaining that Union. Lincoln hoped that the Union would be back and functioning within a year. Unfortunately, there's such a disunion in the country that Lincoln's assassination is brought on by the question of this reuniting the Union. The ultimate question were those Southerners who were upset with Lincoln. He had the radicals, they're upset with Lincoln. Lincoln really is in a state where he can't carry out what he wishes. When his bill goes to the Congress, his Wade Davis bill that brought about Reconstruction, it doesn't go anyplace. The Congress stifles it. Then they bring forth a bill, and when that bill comes to Lincoln, the radical plan, he lets it lay on his desk and lets Congress go out of session. He exercises his pocket veto. So the struggle that ensues after the Civil War is as much a battle between a president and Congress as we've ever experienced. Presently, in the world situation where we're looking at the events and planning war or looking at war, and there's a struggle between the president and the Congress, that's very reminiscent of that era after Reconstruction. It's a detrimental era for the entire nation. It's very detrimental for the South. It's very detrimental for African Americans because caught up in the struggle, we are exploited, we are exploited. So we have to look at an actual struggle. Finally, it's decided that the Army of the North will occupy the South. And there will be a period of time before there will be voting in the South. They decide, those who control the Congress decide, that they want the Southern states to swear they had always been loyal. And to many of the Southern state leaders, this was upsetting because they hadn't been loyal. They had formed a confederacy. They had formed a separate union. So the struggle for Reconstruction continues. Caught up in that struggle will be the emancipation and the vote of the black man. And there was nothing more troubling to Southerners than to see those who were formerly enslaved suddenly marching to the polls and voting. And
so Dr. Mitchell, as we near this first commercial break that we have here today, we find that in this whole struggle that will erupt after the war, which is to say that this is almost a continuation of the intensity of the emotions between the North and the South. It might no longer be the battle as such, but it is emotional and quite involved. But now, one of the things that we'd like for you to talk about after we come back from this break is the citizenship rights of Africans during this time, because I think we know that in 1865, the 13th Amendment is passed that will give them freedom.
That's right.
But now the 14th Amendment, that's this whole idea of African-American citizenship. I think that's one of the most important elements that we could deal with at this particular point, I mean, in this part of the show this morning.
Exactly. And we will always remember that freedom and equality are not synonymous.
Good, very good. And of course, after we take this first commercial break, we'll come back and we'll give you an opportunity to talk about the Reconstruction Act of 1867 and how Africans were eventually brought into the whole political process, because there were quite a bit of opposition in the South and to a lesser degree in the northern states in reference to African-American participation in politics and citizenship and whatnot. And I want you to sort of lay that out as you so well do in some of these other parts that we've dealt with before. And of course, we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.